Representative of Egypt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, President of the Council. Thank you. And thank you for those who called for holding this important meeting. I thank Undersecretary General Fletcher and the dear sister Bisan for her informative and detailed briefing. I'm honored to deliver the statement on behalf of the Arab Group, Mr. President. I thank you once again for holding this meeting today to discuss the situation of children in the Gaza Strip in light of Israel's aggression. Extensive mediation efforts by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States have succeeded with difficulty in reaching a ceasefire agreement to stop the aggression and save civilians. We hope it would be implemented in full to end the suffering of our brethren. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking today with a heavy heart about the most heart-wrenching cause, the cause of our children in the Gaza Strip. They have gone through the most horrific experience that a child could go through. We're speaking today in pain, unable to fathom why we even need to explain that the cause of our Palestinian children is just and a humanitarian cause, while it is there before your eyes for all of you to see. Mr. President, United Nations reports and reports by international organizations referred to a multitude of horrors. It is not possible to mention them all today. These reports tell us that Gaza has turned into a graveyard for children, that at the very least 7,000 children have been martyred. Women and children together form 70% of the number of martyrs in Gaza. This is the highest number of any conflict in a similar time frame over the past 2 decades. The reports are telling us that thousands of children are missing, are displaced, are orphaned. Some of them are completely alone, without any member of their family. The number of child amputees in Gaza relative to the size of the population is the highest in the world, The reports refer to death from starvation, shortage in medication, harsh cold as a result of Israeli restrictions imposed on humanitarian aid. They refer to children losing a whole school year, being deprived of health care. They refer to displacement, siege, and the destruction of health and educational facilities. Mr. President, the children of Gaza have been subjected to unparalleled horrors for a simple reason, because they are Palestinians that have been languishing under the yoke of the unjust Israeli occupation. They have been subjected to atrocities that cannot be erased from their memories. It might even be impossible to treat the physical and psychological impact of these atrocities. Israel is motivated always by the liberation of the hostages, and we wonder, how can killing children in this way and at this rate be both a means and an end? Mr. President, the position of the Arab Group is based on the following. First, the crimes perpetrated against the children of Palestine are a grave violation of the treaty and customary rules of international humanitarian law, a violation of the provisions of international criminal law and international human rights law. They all stipulate that it is illegal to target civilians, including children, in armed conflicts. There are also violations of international commitments contained in the Convention on the Rights of the Child of 1989 and the Geneva Conventions of 1949 and its first additional protocol of 1977. These commitments were also endorsed by the Security Council to protect civilians in armed conflicts. In its decisions, in its resolutions rather, starting with Resolution 1261 to its latest Resolution 2764 of 2024. Second, children in Gaza have been subjected to crimes and violations. At the same time, Palestinian children in the West Bank and East Jerusalem have also been subjected to violations and crimes. This has prompted the Secretary General of the United Nations to add Israel to the list of parties committing grave violations against children in armed conflicts. The number of children killed by Israel during this war exceeds that in any war over the past decades. The Arab Group, therefore, stresses the need and the necessity to ensure accountability and to cooperate with international courts in this regard, and these crimes should not be condoned under any justification. Third, the Arab Group calls for intensifying efforts and mobilizing international resources for early recovery projects. We call for focusing on rebuilding and restoring health and educational facilities. Children need these services immediately. It is necessary to quickly contain the consequences of children of Gaza having been out of school and deprived of the necessary health care and psychological care. Fourth, the Arab Group stresses the vital and irreplaceable role of UNRWA in providing services to Palestinian children, especially health services and educational services, and providing humanitarian support. In order to protect the future of our children, we must preserve the only lifeline for our children, namely this United Nations agency, the UNRWA. Fifth and finally, the only way to ensure a better future for these children, who are going to be the men and women of the future in Palestine, is to ensure that they are equal to other peoples of the world, to end the heinous occupation imposed upon them, to put an end to them having been targeted over decades, so that they live in their independent state along the lines of the 4th of June 1967, with East Jerusalem as its capital. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Council, in closing, we can only but apologize to the Palestinian children, apologize to Bisan. We have done our utmost to stop this war. We hope that the future of this generation of Palestinian children will be better than its past and its present. They might be the generation born into suffering to then become the first generation to live in its independent state. For this noble goal, we will continue to give our all. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Egypt for the statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.